Right, guys, very disappointing game. You know, I'm going to do some player ratings. First of all, I just want to do a quick review of the game. So, obviously, it was a very difficult situation. You know, whenever you get a man sent off that early, it completely changes the whole complexion of the game, and I feel like it did. So, my player ratings are going to be based on that. Obviously, we lost Wan-Bissaka quite early, only about 30 minutes in. Now, young boys looked relatively sharp up until that point. However, I do feel as though we were primarily in control of the game. We were creating chances. You know, Bruno, Pogba was getting involved a little bit. Ronaldo, Van der Beek looked great. I thought we had some good fluent football going on. Do you know what I mean? But you know, the tackle happened. Was it a red card? Yeah, probably. I think under today's rules, it is dangerous play. It studs up. It's over the ball. I've heard people, I've seen some people say it's not, but it is. Realistically, I think the frustration comes from the lack of consistency, because I've definitely seen those not given as red cards in like the last year or two. So I think they need to decide what they're doing with the rules. I mean, it is dangerous play, so it's probably a red card. After that, we lost complete control of the game. Solskjaer obviously went 5 at the back. I'll talk a little bit about that as well. But we basically just conceded possession to them. We made a few substitutions, which, some good, some bad. And then ultimately we've let it slip right at the death after defending very, very well for the second half, considering that we had 10 men. So with that being said, I'm going to get into the player ratings now. So first of all, David De Gea. In this situation, I'd normally give him like a 7 because he was pretty good. He made one really good save and then looked comfortable through the rest of it. Like, we mainly limited them to long shots until quite late on in the game, and De Gea looked comfortable with all of that. But the fact that we've conceded 2 goals at the end of the day against a team that's not as good as us. And ultimately, the second goal, I'm not going to start blaming De Gea, but could he have made himself a little bit bigger? Yeah, I think he kind of made it a bit too easy for the guy. So I'm going to give De Gea a 6. I think that's a fair rating on balance of everything. So now we'll go into the back 4. We'll start off with Aaron Wan-Bissaka. He's kind of the weak link going forward. I think, everyone sort of knows that. His touch isn't fantastic. He gives the ball away sometimes. He kind of runs himself into a bit of a corner. And it was his touch that let him down, ironically. So he took a touch and then he got sent off, and that pretty much cost us the rest of the game. Not that I think he had a really bad game, but because he's only played 30 minutes and he's got sent off, I can only really give him a 4 for that. Now, Victor Lindelof. See, Lindelof's a tough one because he wasn't that bad. Like, he got skinned a couple of times in the first half, and then the second half, I don't really feel as though he was that involved in the game. He played some good passes, but composed for the most part. I think I can only really give Lindelof a 6, to be honest. Maguire, I'm going to give Maguire a 5. His passing I thought wasn't very good. He made some good tackles and interceptions, won the ball in the air a few times. But ultimately, he should have got in the way of that cross that came in for the equaliser. And I'd probably say if the equaliser don't happen, the second goal don't happen either. So I think we were under pressure by the fact that they scored that equaliser, and I do think that Maguire should have cleared that out. Now, he wasn't the only person that was at fault, and I will go into that a little bit later. But Harry Maguire gets a 5 from me. Luke Shaw, I'm going to give Luke Shaw a 7. Now, again, if we'd have come out of that game with a draw, then, or even a win, I'd probably be giving Luke Shaw an 8 here, because I thought he was actually fantastic. I thought he did loads of work, got forward, got back as par for the course for what he's been doing recently. He's been absolutely exceptional, and I thought he played well again tonight. But the fact that we ended up losing, and the cross that the first goal came from, that came from his side, so I don't think that can be overlooked. So I'm going to have to make Luke Shaw a 7 for today. Fred. I thought Fred was fantastic. Fred was all over the place. First half I thought he was assured in possession. He gave the ball away a couple of times, which he shouldn't have done in the first half. But I thought he worked hard, got tackles in, And for the large part, I feel like Ronaldo coming has lifted the whole team, and Fred is playing some good passes now. And I think the mobility and the tackling from Fred, the work ethic has always been there. And in the second half, I didn't really understand the decision to take him off. Like, he was one of the only defensive players that we had, and he could really get around the pitch. And when you've got other players that won't defend, i.e. Ronaldo and Martial, etc., you've got to have someone like Fred that's going to get about the pitch. So I didn't really understand the decision to take him off. And I thought that, yeah, he was excellent. I'm going to give Fred an 8. I don't really care what anyone says. I thought Fred was excellent, and he was just unlucky that he was in that position that, we had the sending us off. Donny van der Beek, I feel exceptionally sorry for. Should it have been him that got took off? I kind of feel like it should have been Pogba to go 3 at the back. I'm not even sure that I agree with going 3 at the back, 5 at the back, if you will. But I think Donny looked really good until, like a lot of players, looked really good until we got the man sent off. Because he was dictating the play, and I think he was helping us play faster. Like, even though we had the link up of Fernandes and Ronaldo and Pogba, I do feel like Donny was the one that was making it faster in the centre midfield. And I think I'd like to see him there again, I've got to be honest. I don't think we will anytime soon, but I would like to see him in that role again, with Pogba maybe on the left or the right. And who have we got next? Fernandes. Bruno Fernandes, I mean, what can I say? Like, I think, got to give Bruno an 8 here. It's not his fault that we got a sending off. He kept possession of the ball. His possession of the ball has been a lot better than it was last season, which is one of a lot of people's criticisms of him. So I think Bruno will get an 8 today. Next up, fantastic assist for Bruno. Sorry, I forgot to mention that. Amazing assist, great possession, and he worked really hard actually. So yeah, I just thought I'd add that in about Bruno before I go on to the next player. Pogba, I thought he looked pretty decent in the first half and then the first part of the second half. But I thought to be honest, it should have been him that went off rather than Bruno. And then when they took Fred off, I thought that should have been Pogba as well. Because I feel like when you've got to defend, he's not someone that gets around the pitch a lot. He's good when you've got possession, you want to link the play up, and you want someone to play that killer pass or spread the play. Pogba's your guy, but when you're defending and you've got 5 at the back and then you've got only 3 in midfield, you want someone that's a bit more mobile and is going to do a bit more work. So I'm going to give Pogba a 6 on balance of everything, which I think is fair. Sancho, I thought, was pretty poor, to be honest, throughout. He did one really nice bit of skill, and that set us on a break that almost got us a goal. So if Ronaldo had finished that at the end, at the end of the first half, that could have changed the game, and then, you might be giving Sancho a better rating here, but I thought he was on his heels, he was too slow to react, he didn't get to the ball when people were playing it to him. Like, he was letting people get in front of him, didn't work very hard in defence, and gave the ball away quite a few times. So I'm going to give Sancho a 4. Ronaldo. Now, I think this is a difficult game with Ronaldo, because when you've got, to start with, I mean, Ronaldo is a luxury in and of himself, and the luxury that you get is 30 to 40 goals a season. He'll get you a ridiculous amount of goals, and he's already shown in the 2 games that he's been with us that he's going to do that this season. He's going to get stupid amounts of goals for us. The trade-off of that is that he's not going to do very much defending. And we played the majority of the game with him. This is not necessarily his fault, but we played the majority of the game with him up front in his own, knowing that he wasn't going to do any defending. So essentially you're down to 10 men, but you've already got one player that ain't going to defend. So then you've got 9 men. Obviously, it was great positioning by him for the goal. He didn't really do anything wrong as far as when he had the ball. He was neat and tidy with it, very composed, looked to progress the play. So I can't criticise him too much, but I also can't go any higher than a 7 just because of the type of game that it was, where we had a man sent off and we needed people to defend. So give Ronaldo a 7. Now we'll go on to the subs. So first sub was Diogo Dalot. don't feel as though he had to do that much. Put in a really good ball, made a couple of good runs forward, nothing exceptional, so I think Dallow's just going to have to be a 6. Raphael Varane. Now this is a difficult one because I actually thought our defence automatically looked more comfortable after he came on. Like, I was worried about the Maguire-Lindelof partnership, and they did have some worrying moments in that first half. As soon as Varane comes on to make it a back 3, we automatically look more comfortable. You could tell he was the natural leader of that back 4. Like, you can say what you want about Maguire, but Varane's the natural leader of that defence. So basically, he was winning stuff in the air, winning the ball, playing good passes, taking control of the game from the back, but he was at fault for the goal. The reality is, I've already talked about Maguire's role in that goal and potentially Shaw's role in that goal, and it should have been stopped before it even got to Varane. But I think he was expecting Maguire to cut that out, and then he was a little bit late to react, because it was his man that ends up scoring, and that just shouldn't happen. You shouldn't be allowing a striker that plays for BSC young boys to get across the front of you and then score like that. So on balance of what he's done, I can only give Varane a 5, and I feel like that's generous. You could give him a 4. I'm going to give him a 5 though. So you've got Varane. Who else came on? There was Matic, very unremarkable. You know, only had the ball a couple of times, gave it away once, didn't really do anything. I feel like young boys were just kind of playing the ball around us. They weren't really penetrating a lot, to be honest. So Matic didn't have loads to do as a result of that. So I can only give him a 5, really. There just wasn't that much time to judge him on anything. Now Lingard, oh my God. So disappointing what he did there at the end. So disappointing. You know, I like Jesse. I want him to do well for United. I was glad that he scored last weekend. I feel like he has got a lot of undue criticism, but I mean, that was unforgivable. That was literally an assist. And it does, when we're doing shit like that, it does feel like last season when we let Demba Ba score from, like, running from the halfway line and there was just no one there. Like, it feels similar to that kind of error. And that's what Lingard gave us today. And that was the only meaningful contribution that he had that I can think of to this game. So for that, I'm going to give Lingard a 2. Might be harsh, but he gave the game away. It doesn't mean that he should never play for United again. I would never say that. He's good enough. He's a great squad player. Can get the odd goal and assist, but today, that was shocking. So it's a 2. Anthony Martial, not really anything to judge on. Kind of got the ball once in the corner, didn't do very much with it. 5. Standard 5. Is there anyone else I'm missing? I don't think that there is. So that just leaves me with Solskjaer's rating. And I have to say, I think that he kind of started the right team, I think. You know, sticking Fred and Van der Beek in the centre of midfield, that was a decision that I rated. There were certain circumstances that went against him, like you can't blame him for the sending off. You can blame him for how he reacted to it. I don't necessarily think we should have gone 5 at the back that early. I would have maybe waited a little bit to see if we could have got a second goal just after half time and then maybe gone more defensive later on. So I think he jumped the gun on the going so defensive, and I think that he probably should have taken Pogba off rather than Bruno, and then he shouldn't have taken Fred off either. And I think those were mistakes because those two players cover ground. Regardless of what you think of them, those two players do cover ground. So I think on balance of that, I've got to give Solskjaer a 5 today. I'm going to give Solskjaer a 5. So overall, guys, I really thought that, you know, this was a game that should have been easy for us. It should have been 3 points in the bag and then looking to progress against Villarreal and Atalanta. As it is, we're going to find it very hard now. Those teams are both a lot better than BSC young boys. So we're going to have a struggle getting through the competition now, and we really need to probably win our next 3 games on the spin. Otherwise, we are going to be looking at, you know, a repeat of last year and Thursday night football once again, which I said before I was afraid of. I don't think we made the right signings over the summer. As good as Ronaldo is, we needed a centre midfielder more. But you know, regardless of that, I am going to support United, and I want the players that play for us to do well. If you like the video, guys, please like the video and subscribe to the channel, because I am nearing 1k subscribers. And if you've got any comments or you've got any different opinions to what I'm saying, then please leave that in the comment section. Thank you very much, and I'll see you next time.